In this video, we're going to talk about doing the initial setup for a course that has been uploaded to Canvas from Moodle. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and use one of my HVAC courses, Advanced Air Conditioning, that we have just uploaded from a backup file from Moodle into Canvas. So I'm going to go ahead and click into the course. Now, as you can see, there's some differences between the Moodle course and the Canvas course. Okay, your course modules, your menus are different, and there's some additional differences, but we need to do a few things before we can even start straightening this out and making it usable in the classroom. Okay, the first thing we want to do is make sure we have the menu open, and if you see this little icon up here, you can see the show course menu. Okay, so we're going to open up and show the course menu. We're going to come down to settings, okay, because we need to take a look at this course menu and decide what we want to make available and what we don't. You can actually have too many things available to students. So when you go into settings, okay, you're going to have your course detail, you're going to have your sections, you're going to have navigation, we're going to have apps and feature options. What we want to do is we want to take a look at the navigation. That's this area over here on the left. And we want to make sure we know what's available to the students. Okay, so we know we want to have home available. We know we want to have announcements. Okay, so like in this course, we don't have any discussions in an HVAC course. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop that down to the bottom, and I'm going to hide that from the students because there's no need for them to have it. I want to make sure they know who else is in the course, so we're going to go ahead and put that up there. I'm going to leave pages. I'm going to pull files. We'll talk about that in a minute, why I'm pulling files. We're going to leave syllabus. We're going to pull for the moment outcomes. I'm going to pull conferences because we don't use it. I'm going to pull collaborations. I'm going to leave modules. I'm just going to move that up a little bit. Okay. I don't use Office 365, so we're going to pull that. We don't use attendance, and I really don't think I need to have chat available. And Studio we'll talk more about in the future. I'm going to pull that for now. I'm going to move syllabus up because that's one of my more important things. And that is basically what I'm going to have available to start with. Okay, so this makes the menu a lot shorter. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Save. And that doesn't mean this stuff isn't available to you as an admin. See all the hidden stuff here? This just means you as an admin have access to it, but your students don't. Now, the other thing we need to do is go into course details. Okay, and I'm going to enable this course as a blueprint course. Okay. And everything else I'm going to leave alone here, but we want to make sure we enable it as a blueprint course so we don't accidentally put this course in, we don't put students into a blueprint course. I'm going to click More Options. Okay, and I'm just going to take off that. And I'm going to update the course details. Okay, now I'm going to go into my course by clicking the Home. Okay, now the biggest thing we have to deal with in Canvas is we have to look at the files. When all of the attachment, all of the handouts and everything were uploaded into Canvas from Moodle, it put it in 3 directories. The master directory, embedded images that came from tests and quizzes, and then some additional test files, okay, that might have had images in it. But what it didn't do, it didn't separate out the labs. It didn't separate out any images that were part of the it didn't separate out any of the images that were found on the main course page. It didn't separate out things like the different PDFs, handouts, and stuff like that. So we need to take a quick look at this, and we need to separate these into various folders. So I'm going to click on the plus folder over here, and I'm going to add a folder called Labs. Okay, then I'm going to come back up. I'm going to add a folder called Schematics. Then I'm going to come back up again, and I'm going to add a folder called Instructor. Okay, and the reason we're doing this is because we need to separate these out into various things, okay? And I want to add a folder called Handouts as well. Because if you don't do this, it's one big directory. And you see all these images that are left over? I'm going to add another folder called Images. Okay, now your courses may have one or two things different in here. So I'm going to click drag and drop, okay, into the correct folder. And you can add more folders as you go. But this just gets it so it's a little bit neater, okay? So I know that these are handouts. Okay, I actually may come down in here. I'm going to come to handouts, and I'm going to add a folder. I know those are EPA, so I'm going to add a subfolder here. So again, I'm going to come back there. Okay, you see now I have handouts and EPA. I know what those files are because I put them in there. Okay, now we have, these are all, we have schematics. Okay, and anytime things get a little bit out of shape here, you can always just click back. You see I lost part of my column here. And I'm going to refresh because I want to make sure that I can see everything. So once you go through all of this, okay, like I'm going to have labs, all in labs. Okay, handouts. So I'm going to go through all of this. I'm going to put the video on hold while I go through these couple hundred files I have here. And then I'm going to continue once I get done with that. So now I've put this, I had this video on hold while I was sorting these files. So now if I go into, for example, labs, I can see all of the labs in the course. If I go into handouts for the lessons, I can see all of my lesson handouts. If I go into schematics, there's nothing there because this course doesn't have any schematics in it. And if I go into general handouts, I have some general handouts. And if I go into lessons, I'll find all my PowerPoints. Okay, and let me just move a PDF that ended up in the wrong spot. Now, the one thing you do have to realize is when you go into the main course up here, you're going to see you'll see a lot of files again. So just be aware that that's there. Okay, so once we've sorted all of these files into these different categories, okay, we need to come back and go to our course, which will come up in the module view to start with. This is a module. So in other words, we have our course overview. We have our pressure switches and condensers. And that little down arrow there, you can expand and each module. Okay, so we have a few things we have to do for course setup. Okay, so I'm going to pull all these modules down to so they're not expanded out. Okay, this course happens to have 19 plus modules in it because we have 19 days of instruction and there's a few extra in here. that the instructors do need to fit into their course depending on their class. So we're going to just go ahead there. I'm going to pull all of these down. Okay, international residential, there's the end of the course coming up. And we have some additional resources. Now, when you look down here, you'll see that we only have the first 2 modules published. Everything else in here, published means available to students. It's the same as the visible and the invisible. So I just want to make sure that as per our course setup, we want to make sure that nothing is published with the exception of the first couple. Okay, so we go into the course overview. We know, okay, that some of this stuff is like a file. Okay, you're going to have like a course prep checklist. Students don't need to see the course prep checklist. Okay, so we're going to unpublish that. There's no reason for them to see that. Course overview. Let's take a look at it. Just make sure what it is. Okay, it's basically what it is, what the course is. We're fine on that. So I'm going to go back. Okay. What I want to do is for example, break schedule. I want to go in here and take a look at this file because I want to make sure that it actually attached it properly. So we're going to go ahead and pull that up. Okay, break schedule, it did keep the file attached properly. Okay. So I'm pretty much okay there. Now, the one thing we do absolutely have to look at is the labs. Okay, so we have lab assignments here. Now, anything that's an assignment that you have a PDF attached to, okay, we have to take a look at that attachment. So I don't want to edit item details. I want to come in here. I'm going to open it. Okay. Now, it says complete the attached lab and submit via Dropbox. So we have to do something here. We have to attach that lab because all of our lab attachments did not come over from Moodle. So we got to come down here. You see these tabs up top, list, files, images. We got to come over here to files. We got to find this lab. So this is lab 1A. And we have to attach it to Moodle or to the lab. Okay, so I got to come down here. I got to attempt to find lab 1A. There it is. And now you see that it's attached to the description. Once that's attached, we're going to go ahead and click save. So any assignment that you have a file attached to, this is sort of what you have to do. Okay, and then you can click on assignments and you can see them all. Okay, we know we have an assignment. I have a lab with an attachment. I have a refrigeration worksheet, cycle worksheet 2. So I want to come in here. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to edit it. I need to come over to files. I know where that file is. Refrigeration worksheet number 2. Okay. I need to come in and save. And I'm going to click back over to assignments. Okay, I'm going to come down here. I'm going to do the same. So I'm going to work my way down in the assignments, but every assignment that had a sheet attachment, you need to come in and reattach that file. Okay, this is subcooling worksheet. I'm pretty sure that's subcooling worksheets. Okay, so for this video, you've separated your files into different categories and you're working on your assignments. Quite honestly, that is the majority of the setup that's going to be needed, is to relink all the assignments. And we will continue this on in future videos.